Hi, welcome to the CFES live chat. I'm Aubrey Brissett, the Director of Communications for College for Every Student, and I'm joined by Rich Higgins, the Associate Vice President for Enrollment at SUNY Plattsburgh. And for the first time in CFES live chat history, we have a group of students with us in our student audience. So say hello to our CFES scholars from Willsboro. Hi guys! Woo! Thanks for being with us. Mr. Higgins will be talking about the college application process today and how to choose a college that's right for you. During the live presentation, you can participate by posting your questions and comments in the chat window that you see in front of you, and Mr. Higgins will answer them after the presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Before we really begin, I just wanted you to know that this is a picture of Hawkins Pond at the SUNY Plattsburgh campus, and that large facility is a science building called Hudson Hall. I've been at SUNY Plattsburgh for more than 30 years, and the areas that report to me as the Associate Vice President for Enrollment would be freshman admissions, transfer students coming from like Clinton Community College or Cobleskill, so transfer admissions. Then I also have graduate admissions that reports to me. That's if you're going to get a master's degree, that office, international admissions, and study abroad and student exchanges. So all of those areas, I have wonderful directors who manage a wonderful staff in terms of keeping things going forward. But today I just wanted to prepare a presentation for juniors, and I'm going to hope that these Willsboro juniors are going to ask me some questions while we go along. Let's start with the first. Well, when I started thinking about this, guys, I thought, all right, it's spring, it's your junior year, and you need to start thinking about yourselves. And I know the school counselor will help you with that, but I think it's important that you know your academic strengths. You got to be thinking about this and what your personal strengths are too. So know your college transcript, know what your high school average is. Well, so when you start interviewing at colleges as a senior, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, you should know what your GPA is. You should know what your test scores are. And if you don't like them, you could say, well, I didn't really think they were very good. I'm going to repeat them in the fall. So sometimes you're not happy with those scores, but college admissions officers are always wondering, what is your GPA? What is your SAT, ACT scores? And you can see the strength of the program that I wrote down there. Are you taking AP? Are you taking college level credits? Are you gifted in languages? Are you good in terms of math? If you're a math whiz. So I think it's important for you to know those areas of strength. Also, an interest inventory is that last bullet. So know what kind of clubs you belong to here at Willsboro or whatever high school that we're televising to. Leadership positions, community service, employment. That's very important so that when you go to a college interview, you have something to talk about, not only your academics, but also your social end of things. Okay. To me, it's all individual. We were just talking about what are you looking for in a college. Obviously, if you're thinking about a major, that's very important, or a range of majors. So you might say, I might want to be psychology, I might want to do social work, I might want to do history. You just want to make sure that those colleges that you're looking into has that whole range of those academic majors. The type of a campus, do you want to go to a large university? That's usually 10,000 students or more. Or a small university, that's usually 2,000 students or less. Do you want to be in a rural area? That I would think St. Lawrence University is a rural place. Or if you want to be in an urban place, you've heard of FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology, or NYU. They're all in Manhattan, and they're very large, very urban setting. You have to think, am I most comfortable in the urban? Do I want to get into the city? Do I want to stay suburban? Do I want to go rural? It's really stuff to start thinking about as you start looking at this. Distance from home. Buffalo, if you picked UB or Buffalo State, that's about an 8-hour drive from here. At the same time, if you picked Albany, I'm going to say it's about a 2.5-hour drive. And if you went to Stony Brook on Long Island, it would probably be about 5.5 hours to get there. So you have to think about transportation, whether that college allows you to have a car as a freshman. You want to start looking and thinking about that kind of stuff. I also think you might be looking at clubs and organizations, and I brought this publication. Academic clubs at college are various. Now we have academic clubs that are history, nursing, those kind of clubs. We have cultural clubs, Club Caribbean, Club Canada, those kind of clubs. We have media clubs, newspaper, TV. We have recreational clubs like Topia, Dance Corps. Minor Adjustments is a music group. We have religious clubs, Hillel for the Jewish students, as well as the Protestant campus ministry. And we also have social movement clubs, Colleges Against Cancer, Environmental Action Committee. So there's all kinds of clubs and associations associated with colleges. So I think you have to start thinking about study abroad programs, internships, the like of that. All right, so we're still in the junior year. This is the tough one. This is where I said cost. Direct costs are, if you see that, it says tuition, room means your housing, and board means your food service. And fees. Colleges now are giving you a lot of fees. We have an athletic fee that you have to pay, a medical fee that you have to pay, a technology fee that you have to pay, and a student association, an SA fee that you must pay. So fees are really a large part of the cost of going to college now. So it's room, board, fees, and tuition. Indirect costs are books and traveling back and forth to home, in terms of from the college to your home. I think you need to start thinking about who's going to pay for this. You might take out a student loan. Maybe your parents are going to help you a great deal. Maybe your grandmother or a sweet aunt is going to help you too. But you got to start thinking about family contributions, and you do have to have that money talk with the parents, just to say, okay, it's about 2 years away. What do you think? What are we thinking about? Now, you might have a younger brother or sister that's coming up. So again, some families, it's difficult to have two people through college at the same time. Now, this is a chart that I just put together. I went to Clinton Community College, I went to Plattsburgh, I went to St. Lawrence, and then I went to Ithaca, which is over by Cornell. And just took their tuition, took their fees, took their room, your housing costs, and took the board, the food costs. And you can see it ranges, if you lived at Clinton, they do have residence halls there, it'd be about $14,000. And then the high is at St. Lawrence at $62,000. Now, don't let the cost of that college deter you. Sometimes you apply and I have a slide here about financial aid, but you might get scholarships and grants. And so sometimes these very pricey schools can really bring the cost down to maybe about $25,000. So if it's the right match, and it's a very expensive school, you just have to be mindful about that. All right, so spring and summer of your junior year. The first one is a fun thing, and you may want to just note this down, SUNY.edu. That's a search engine that you can go to, and you can plug in all kinds of things about colleges within the SUNY system. Then look, collegeboard.org. You can go there, and they will help you with career information, college selection, princetonreview.com. And obviously, here's my plug for school counselor's office, because they're there to help you understand how to do a correct search. What's the fun thing about this is that you plug in your major you're thinking about, the size of the college that you're thinking about, the region, and you submit, and it will spit out a number of colleges that it would suggest it looks like these might be good matches for you. Then once you get those colleges, you want to go to their website, plattsburgh.edu, harvard.edu, syracuse.edu. We've put a lot of time and trouble into really putting information on the website, and each one of you have different questions. So when you do this search and you get some college names, then go to those colleges and start looking for the information that's most pertinent to you or to your parents. Sometimes your mother or father are going to say, how much does it cost? So be impressive and say X amount of dollars. I mean, I think they'll be impressed with you if you know the cost of that. The other bullet that I have here is social media, and you all are social media friendly, I'm sure. But a lot of us have developed social media so that our students are posting pictures and stating what they think about the place. And so I think, for example, we have hashtag PlattsLife. And if you went to through our social media channels and did that hashtag PlattsLife, you would get an accounting of what our current students think of the place. Got to read that carefully. Sometimes some people are just throwing some silly things out there, but generally speaking, I think it's pretty genuine, and it's a place to go to understand a little bit more about that school. So, develop a short list. Consider your grades, request information from colleges. You can go through their websites, you can go to regional fair. I'm sure you've done that and filled out your name on certain college cards. Talk to people who've gone to the college and talk with your counselor. Helpful hints, what you should not do. Obviously, you don't want to choose a college because your boyfriend or girlfriend is going there. I mean, you want to do it because they legitimately have the major that you want to study, and it's the right price, and it's the right location. Sometimes because your mother and father went to that school, you don't want to go there. But that's not a good enough reason. I mean, if they really think it would be a good place to go, you should, take a little tour with them. And you can see all the other things I think that we would say to try to avoid. And don't wait till the last minutes. You're juniors. Start thinking about that interest inventory. Think about your academics. And we were talking earlier, your parents know who you are. And I heard a few of you say that my mother wants me to be a lawyer, my mother wants me to be a doctor, whatever. But listen to them because they know what your strengths are. Now, again, you've got to have your own thinking in terms of what you want to do, but I think it's real important that you might invest in your folks. The first bullet is very important. You need to make sure that you have an appropriate email address. hockeybunny@gmail is not somebody I want to write to and say, "Dear Hockey Bunny," all right? So think about making sure it's your name. It could be richard.higgins@plattsburgh.edu. It could be your name in that end of it, but colleges are going to be communicating with you. So make sure that you do have a correct email address. Put your full name on the communications. And that other bullet I have here, if somebody writes to you from a college, it's good to reply back to them so that there's an email trail to your conversations. So that's that. And I think you should get letters of recommendation right now. Start thinking about who are the teachers that know you the best, whether it's a minister, whether it's somebody in the community that you've babysat for. These people can write good letters of support. And if you ask them to start thinking about it now, you'll have those letters in early fall so that when you start applying to colleges, you have all your documentation together. This one is really a virtual tour of SUNY Plattsburgh, but I think it's really important that you have your list. Now what? Visit. Start with the virtual tours. We all have them, so you can go to plattsburgh.edu or syracuse.edu and see a virtual tour. You click on the buildings, and a student comes up and says, "Hi, I'm in the science building, and this is what this is all about." So there's videos, there's photographs, there's a lot of information on those virtual tours. And then if you really like that virtual
Excuse
tour.
the interruption. Seniors who sold coffee, please come and pick up your orders that are in the main office. Thank you.
We're doing it live. That's a commercial. That's a commercial right there. But I think you can see where I listed this, that there's open houses. We're going to have an open house this coming Saturday, April 2nd. But colleges have open houses. They have campus tours, department visits. Sometimes you want to go to the psych department and meet with the psych faculty. Other times you might want to just sit in a class. And another time, some of you are interested in athletics, you might want to meet with a coach. Some of you might want to meet with a financial aid advisor. So there's lots of things that you can do when you're visiting a college. Request through the admissions office. Now your list down. Know the differences between a rolling admission. That means when you apply, they accept you. They just roll with that decision. They just keep doing it. So if you apply in January, you get accepted in January. Someone says, "Oh, I'm going to apply now. It's February." It's a rolling decision. Early action, early decision is if you really, really want that school, then you should have early action. But then once you're accepted, you need to withdraw from all the other schools. There's some rules to that you need to be aware of. And traditional admission is just knowing. I would always advise you to have your applications through school counselor's office by, I would say, Thanksgiving. That's a good time. Yeah, I think that's so know the deadlines and know the requirements. And that last thing about a capped program, we have a nursing program at Plattsburgh. It's very, very competitive because we only have 55 spots. We received over 1,000 applications for 55 spots. So what happens is, if somebody applied that was a 95 high school average and had a 1,400 on the SAT, but they applied in February, we are already closed. In other words, we've offered enough acceptances that that brilliant student who we would love to have in the nursing program, we can't fit them in because we've reached our class capacity. So it's very important to know, if you're looking at a competitive program, when's the best time to apply so that you don't lose out. So that's what I meant by that. Finally, students, these are the two modes that you can apply online. There's a SUNY application that you can go to any of the SUNY schools, or there's the common application. You can apply to SUNY schools as well as private institutions. Everything is online. And finally, this is what I think you should expect in the fall, winter of your senior year. Expect decisions by mail mostly. You will get email acceptances as well. And look for institutional scholarships. You want to make sure that you know, if you are a bright and capable student, you want to make sure that you don't get lost out in terms of scholarship or merit awards. In your winter, spring of your senior year, you're going to do something called the FAFSA. That's a free application for student federal aid. You have to fill out the FAFSA in order to be to link you right to the TAP award. And so you can see if you're going to get a student bank loan, if you're going to get merit awards. So it's very important that you sit down with your parents and you fill that out sometime around December, January of your senior year. You can see that that TAP award, you can earn up to $5,165. And that's a grant, so you don't have to pay it back. So it's wonderful if you can fill this out. Even Bill Gates, you know, Mr. Billionaire, Bill Gates. So if he wanted his son or daughter to have a student loan, he has to fill out the FAFSA. Now, because Mr. Bill Gates is a billionaire, he would get an unsubsidized student loan. That means you have to pay interest as you go. But if you are from a family that has more modest means, your student loan is usually subsidized. So you don't have to pay anything back until after you graduate from college. So that's a nice thing. It's deferred payment, if you want to think of it that way. So scholarships. This is what I thought about this. Where can you find, if there's any scholarships or community service grants? The guidance office, your parents' employer, maybe your own employer. Sometimes the Key Club, Boy Scouts of America, even Price Chopper offers merit awards for people, employees that work there. Then there's websites. You see those websites? That's another thing. And definitely the college website. So if you went to plattsburgh.edu and you searched on scholarships, it would bring you right to that page. You could say merit awards, and it will bring you probably to that page. But it's important for you to know the schools you're looking at and if there are available funds that you can help defray your costs. So, spring of the senior year, these are the final steps. Respond in a timely way, please, to all of the information that is being requested. Review your financial aid award packages. That's what I wrote down. Usually in February and March, you have 5 colleges that you apply to, and you're accepted to all 5, all right? You're a good student, but now you get your award letters. And so you sit down with your folks and you can say, okay, it's going to cost me this amount of money to go to Ithaca. It's going to cost me this amount of money to go to Plattsburgh, this amount of money to go to St. Lawrence. So that's really when you look and see if the family can afford it or not. And I've always empowered parents to know that it's okay to tell a son or a daughter, we can't afford that school. So I empower people. I think parents feel bad if they'll stretch and do as much as they can for you, which is wonderful. But you have to pay that for 4 years. So it's not just 1 year of college costs. So I think it's important to know, to have that money talk with your folks. The big high holy day, as they say in admissions, is May 1st. That's when you have to pay your deposit. If you pay it after May 1st, sometimes those colleges are filled and they have to refuse your deposit because their class is already set. So it's very important to realize that that May 1st deadline date as a senior is very important to know where you want to go, and you pay that money so that you can hold your place. If you pay it earlier, and that's my note down there, you get, at least at our school, and I think at most other colleges, you get insider mailings. about housing and about orientation and about course registration. So it's very important to realize that the sooner that you know where you're going, the better it is to pay that deposit. And finally, just finish your senior year and have a lot of fun and a lot of memories. So I'm going to come to questions right now. Anybody have any questions for me? It's a quiet group here. Has anybody done a search yet? Did you go into the computer and do that? Was it a lot of colleges came out? What were your outcomes?
There's like 20 colleges that had like what I wanted.
And did you put a region in it though? There's 20 colleges, but are you looking at a certain location?
I plugged in like within 300 miles from here.
Okay.
And they were all like around this area.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can then make it just 150 miles and see what comes out from that. You know, so you can always, it's a fun activity, I think, to search on the key points that you're thinking about for college and see what comes out to you. And then, did you go and investigate those schools? Did you go to them online?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else begin this process? What was it for you?
I use collegeboard.com, and I don't know what I really want to do right now. So I was in the guidance office, and Mr. Ford helped me without even declaring like a major or something, like just to pick like a college like far away from here, close, student size, and like you also could put in the cost of the college, and like it just narrowed down the colleges I could pick from without even having to pick what I want to major in, which was kind of nice.
I think the one area that I've talked to a lot of juniors and seniors is, what are you going to study when you go to college? You know, there's a lot of struggle about, yeah, you might want to be a lawyer, but there's a long process to become a lawyer. I mean, and it's good to have those aspirations, but that's really the thing that you have to start thinking about, your interest inventory as an individual. Do you like math? Do you really like languages? Do you remember history? These are the attributes that you want to think about that then can move you possibly to a major for a career. Is there a career, have any of you done any searching on careers? No? Who was the one that made the comment, your mother wants you to make a lot of money? Who? Doesn't matter what you do, as long as you make a lot of money, right? And then you buy her a home in Boca, a vacation home or something. Well, I think as a parent, you know, I also wanted I have two daughters. I wanted them to be successful. I wanted them to have a passion for what they did. One is a speech pathologist, and the other one, it was a logistics person in terms of the business school. She actually did an internship in London this is 3 years ago, and then she got a job to work the London Olympics. And she was paid. So she was in London from January all the way to September. She had to go through the Paralympics as well. And as a result of that internship, it was a paid internship. You know, she met all those famous people, all those athletes. It was really kind of great. I saw a lot of pictures of her at that. She put this experience on her resume, and IBM picked her up and said, we'd like to offer you a job. So I guess that's the other thing is you want to have you want to be passionate about the major you're studying. You want to make sure you have a good experience outside of the classroom. So you have to start looking at internships to see if it applies to that particular major. And then if you can put this internship down on a resume, some employers really look at that and see that as a great value. So it's something you got to look at the long view of when you're going to college, because you're right now 6 years out. You finish this year, it's your senior year, and then you have a 4-year degree to go through. Yes?
Quick question. What would be your suggestion to a student who has no clue what they want, what field they want to study? Because I think a lot of our students are feeling the pressure that they need to know what career path they want to take or what field they need to study. And it's stressful, but some of them just really have no clue. They know they want to continue their education, but they just want to go in as undeclared. So how would you, what would you suggest to them as far as this college selection process?
Well, I would think Mr. Ford might have some inventories that you could do. I mean, I'm going to call them a test, but it's not, you're not going to get graded on it. It's going to give you your aptitude. You lean more towards the math, or you're leaning more towards languages. So there are interest inventories, and I would go to Mr. Ford and ask him if he could help you understand what your strengths are, what your abilities are for possible career directions. That's the best answer I can give you for that one. I think I don't know what the resources are here. So, Mr. Ford.
You've taken the ASVAB, right? So you got the results already?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I still say, your loved ones know you the best. I think your parents would have some very good suggestions about what they think your strengths are, what they think you should avoid, and just listen to that, because I do think that they've raised you this much, so they do have a pretty good sense of who you are.
We have a couple of questions through one of our educators, has some students. One wants to know, Shayana wants to know, how did you know what college you wanted to go to? Was there a special part of the college that made you set on the college you went to?
That was so long ago. It was a long, long time ago. I would tell you that I was driven by, I wanted to be away from home. I did not want to stay local. I wanted to go away and have a full residence life experience. I knew that. And my family had come on to hard times. My father's business folded. So I had to be very careful about the cost of the college that I was attending, because I was basically going to be paying for it myself. Again, it wasn't back, I just showed you a slide that we're about $20,000 right now if you live on SUNY Plattsburgh's campus, but back then it wasn't that much. And student loan, bank loan, and financial aid, that's what you have to look at in terms of trying to help you through there. So I would tell you, I wanted to be away from home. I had to watch the cost. And at that time, to be honest with you, my undergraduate degree is in biology with a minor in physics. I thought I was going to be an eye doctor. I'm an associate vice president for enrollment. I don't know how that happened, but I mean, it just, so, I wanted to be an eye surgeon. And then I realized as I was going through the biology program, which I finished and did very well, wasn't for me. So I think lighten up a little bit, because you're going to change. It's very unusual for someone to say, I'm going to study speech pathology and I'm going to be a speech pathologist. My one daughter did that, but I couldn't believe it. So that's how I made my decisions in terms of back more than 30 years ago.
Another student, Alexia, wanted to know, and this is very related to what Mrs. Lashley was saying, what kind of college should an undecided student apply to?
That's a tricky question, in the sense that if you're undecided, I would still look at whatever colleges you're thinking about. Sometimes it's location, distance from home, but you want to make sure that they have the range of majors that you could possibly be studying. So if you wanted to, I might want to be an architect. Well, then you're going to have to find a school that has that in it. You don't have to declare it, but you want to make sure that they have the range of majors. So undecided, I would be careful if your family is on financial concerns. That you saw St. Lawrence University at $62,000. I would be careful if you're undecided. Yet if your parents just are writing the check, if you're fortunate enough to say mom and dad are just writing the check, you can go anywhere. So I'm still going to grade in undecided. Make sure that college has the range of majors that you could possibly study, and make sure it's in your cost column. It was a question.
I was going to ask, how do you decide if you want to go to 2 or 4 year college?
Well, it depends on what you want to study. It depends on your family circumstances. It's wonderful. We get a lot of students that get their associate's degree from Clinton Community College or North Country or Adirondack Community College, now known as SUNY Adirondack. And then they transfer their credits into a 4-year program, and they complete that program in 2 more years. So some community colleges are very good. Some community colleges have very specialized majors with very lucrative salaries. So Hudson Valley, for example, has some remarkable associate degree programs where the study of blood, and some people are graduating with an associate's degree and starting at around $140,000 a year. But you have to be by open heart surgery, so you have to live in more urban areas. Usually open heart surgery is not done in rural hospitals, it's done in urban areas. So that's another thing you have to be aware of, where you're going to live to get employed like that. But there are so I guess I'm saying here is that there's some wonderful associate degree programs that you could start. And then if you wanted to transfer, you want to just make sure you're taking the right courses that will transfer into the four-year school, be it a public or private school. Some people will, because of nursing, we have a four-year program in nursing. If you can't get into our nursing program, Clinton Community College, for example, and Adirondack, they have associate degree programs where you can get your associate's degree, start working as an RN once you pass the licensure exam. And then you can we have an RN to BS program where you can do it online. So you can be a working nurse, taking courses on a part-time basis, getting your bachelor's degree. And a lot of hospitals now are looking for you to have a bachelor's degree in nursing. There is no hiring on Long Island unless you have a bachelor's degree. So there's many different steps that you can do to complete an associate's degree to a bachelor's degree.
We had another question online asking what the transferring process is like.
It's a good question to ask because it depends on where you're studying. Now, we get a lot of students, and don't just think it's community college. Somebody could be at Siena, and after 1 year of study at Siena, say, I want to transfer to SUNY Plattsburgh. So we have transfer students that are coming from community college, coming from technical schools like Copel Skill, and yet coming from four-year schools, both public and private. It's important that you have an eye for making sure you're taking the right credit to transfer. So we have what we call course equivalencies on the website. So you can go right to Clinton Community College, and their English course is equal to our English course. So we have these course equivalencies that, and all other schools do it as well. So if you were wondering if I'm going to take this course at Siena, will it transfer to Plattsburgh? We could answer that question directly, phone to phone, or you can look it up on our website. Does that answer the question?
I think so.
Okay.
I was a transfer student
Oh,
also,
were you?
So I remember reading somewhere that something like 40% of college students end up transferring at one point or another. So
Yes.
Good question.
I had a daughter who went to University of Albany, and she was accepted to 8 schools. And after the first semester, she said, I'm doing well, but it's not for me. So she transferred out. So sometimes you put all this thought into selecting a college, and when you get there, it may not feel right. And so the transfer, or 40% of people, you can transfer to another school. So it's never ending. That's how I would look at it. You just want to always think about who you are and if you're enjoying that educational experience. Yes.
Sort of piggybacking on what you just said, we've had some alumni who experienced exactly what your daughter did, where they went away to college, were very careful on their college selection, and then within a couple of weeks or a semester decided that that's not for them. And I know that's a scary thing because, you went away and you put so much thought and effort into getting to college. Based on your own experience being in the position that you're in, do you know maybe the top 2 reasons as to why a college is not able to retain students, or why, I guess, for them as they start looking into what should they be thinking about to make sure that they select the right college?
Well, I think the best advice I can give you is visit, okay? You want to visit the college. I had my one daughter that was accepted to 8 schools. She applied to the University of UNH, and we drove there. And we found out that about 1% of their students are from New York, and it's very hard to get to the University of New Hampshire. And so I let her know. I said, okay, you're not going to be coming home very often. So I think it's important to visit the school, to understand how to get there, to walk around the campus and talk to the students. Do they fit? Is the match correct? I would say a lot of students get homesick. So that would be one of the top reasons I think that someone's going to transfer. Sometimes you have roommate problems, and that causes you to think to go somewhere else. And other times, sometimes we invite you to leave. Some people don't do well academically, a little bit too much on the social life, and they are academically dismissed. So they have to go home and start at a community college to repair their particular academic record. So I think it's very different for each person. And I've seen a lot of our students in the North Country go to Syracuse or Siena or University of Albany, and then they'll come back in that January semester after just one semester because it just wasn't the right place for them. So we're always trying to get them into the class post haste, but we need to make sure we can see their academic record. So no matter where you go, never give up and do the best that you can, because if you transfer, there's also transfer scholarships. I didn't even get to those, but I think it's important that you see that by doing well wherever you are, another college will accept you. You want to make sure that you have good grades. Yes. Oh.
So for different career majors, you'll have different amounts of time out of class. How hard is it to manage extracurricular activities while?
You know, when we do presentations at the college, we have student panels. So, we'll do the presentation, we'll do a PowerPoint, but we have enrolled students, and then students like yourselves will throw questions to them. One of the things that these students always underscore is you have to have good time management skills. That comes out on a panel every single time. So you need to develop time management skills if you don't have them already. So you got to know when it's time to do your homework, when it's time to have some fun, when it's time to get back to the books. In college, if you took a 3-credit course, that means you're going to be in class for 3 hours. It could be Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, 3 hours, an hour each. So you're only in that class 3 hours. The amount of homework they think that you should be studying in that course, double it. So right now, if you took 5 courses at Plattsburgh or anywhere else, you would be doing 15 credits. That's the norm for that semester. That means you're only in class 15 hours. Now, you're here at Willsboro more than 15 hours in a week, aren't you? Right, so think about how much free time you have at a college campus. So you have to decide, are you going to give 30 hours of study to the 5 courses that you're taking? So that's what I mean by good time management. There are some people that also can look at something, they have a very unbelievable talent for this. They look at it, they read it, and it just stays right in there. So they have far more social opportunity because they just have to read it and they get it. If you're a plugger, you're looking at a plugger. I was never one that could memorize all that stuff. I had to work. I didn't have as much time. So when people were going out, I'd say, I'll meet up with you. I need to finish this first. So I think time management is very important to be successful. Does that answer the question?
A quick follow-up question.
Sure.
Was time management hard for you to learn?
No, you all know your skill sets, and I'm pretty organized. Even in junior high, I kind of knew where things were. My closet was always neat, unlike my daughter's. But I mean, I just knew where my stuff was. So I was a science major. Think about it. I was studying biology with a minor in physics. So I had lots of labs, lots of write-ups. So I was able to stay with the program because of my time management skills. Something that you may have to learn if you don't have them right now, but start thinking about that. Any more questions?
I have a question. What do you say to a student who might not be sure about their major, so they're thinking about taking the year off after high school graduation?
We've had this conversation with the vice president at the college, and his son is doing just that. I think in London, the English have a lot of times you take a year or 2 years off before you go back into university. I think as long as there's a plan. So if you didn't want to go into college right away, you don't want to be a couch potato. You have to have a plan. What are you going to do? Are you going to do volunteer work? Are you going to work in a specific area that you're thinking of, like retail? So I would say that it's fine to take a year off as long as you have a plan. You could apply as a senior to all your colleges. You can then ask to be deferred for 1 year. So you could be accepted with your scholarship, right? You're all smart kids around this table. And then you say, I'm taking a year off. I'm not going to go up to college. I'm going to be doing this. Can you please defer my admission to the fall of 2000, whatever it is? And I think that would be the way that I would work it. I would have a plan. I would have an acceptance that I'm going to come back to. That would be the best way to do it.
Any more questions?
Just one more question. What are some of the resources available on campus to first-year students to help them get through that, probably the hardest year when it comes to adapting to their new life?
Well, I can mention that about our school. We have a learning center. That's right in the lower level of the library, of the Claude Learning Center. And there's all kinds of tutorials there. So if you're having trouble with writing a paper, if you're having trouble with math, it's free too. It's all, so a student will teach you what you need to know, or a professional will. So we do have an SSS office, a student services office, and we do have a learning center. You get an academic advisor in the major that you're coming into. So if you're going to be a history major, you're going to get a history professor who's going to be your advisor. If you're undecided, you're going to get a professional who's going to be your advisor and help you take a wide range of courses so that you can be fulfilling the general education requirements at the same time understanding what you do like and what you don't like. So I would say those are the resources at a college. And you shouldn't wait to the last minute, like the test is tomorrow, I need help. I think you got to know your study habits. You got to know if you're not getting it. You can go right to that professor in the class and say, I'm not getting this at all. He may either help you and say, see me at my office hours, or he might say, go to the learning center and get a tutor, or I know somebody that can do this. So you got to ask for help. That's the best advice I can give everybody. And find out where the resources are at that particular college and utilize it. In our learning center, I like this statistic. We have exit reasons. Why did you use the learning center? Over 85% of the people that checked the box said they were changing, the reason why they used the learning center, they were changing a grade of B to an A. So that tells me smart students go to the learning center to get torque, there's an engineering term, to torque it up a bit in terms of to get that A. So yeah, if you're not doing well in a class and you need to just maintain and get that C, a learning center is wonderful for that as well. But really bright students are using the facilities to maximize on their GPA, on their grade achievement. Yes?
So obviously going to college, you have to make a bunch of different changes. What was the hardest change you had to make that you had to adapt?
What was the hardest change I had to make going to college? You know, I'll tell you, I had to, there's a couple things coming in, so I'm just trying to sort it all out. I would think, I was taken aback by how smart some kids were, and it wasn't me. And I couldn't believe that I was reading that book, and chemistry, organic chemistry almost killed me. But I did it, organic 1 and organic 2. But I think that was the thing that I found. Is different people have different talents, and there were some really smart kids there that they just got it. And it kind of was unnerving me that I had to work so hard to stay afloat. But I did it. It worked for me. Anybody else? This junior year is very important. I'm going to tell you that you need to finish strong, torque those grades up so that when we look at your academic record next year when you're a senior, we're looking at 9th grade, oh, that's done. We're looking at 10th grade, done. But 11th grade isn't. And it's only March, almost April, but you can really finish strong in your junior year. And if that upswing on the grades, that will be very good for most college admissions to see that. Has anybody taken an SAT or ACT or just the PSAT? Anybody?
Yeah, it's the ACT.
Okay. I recommend taking that ACT, not with the writing component. It's optional. And you know that the SAT has changed. So, I mean, I think ultimately, I think it's very important that you consider doing it again in the senior year. Even if you have good scores, you might get better scores, and therefore you might become eligible for scholarships. That puts a smile on every parent's face, I can tell you that, even the applicant. But it's really nice to see money for excellence. So good luck to all of you in terms of your junior year. Finish strong and enjoy your senior year. Have fun with the college selection process. It is something that if you invest yourself into this and start talking with your parents and with your school counselor and with other people who are in college, I think you'll make some very wise decisions about which is the best place for you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Higgins, for joining us today. Wasn't it great, guys? Thank you all for being with us, both our physical audience and our virtual audience. The next CFES live chat will take place on April 20th with Mike Lynch. He's the Director of Corporate Partnerships at College for Every Student, and we hope to see you then.